places.
Puedes verte la cara un segundito, la verdad, que es maravilloso.
Tienes 10 minutos, ¿vale? Te avisamos cuando te quedan 3 minutos más o menos, porque como las cosas son bastante extensas.
Vale, perfecto.
Pregunta castellano hacia el libro, él te conté que él te traduce a él detrás y cuando tu respuesta te traduce simultáneamente, ¿de acuerdo?
Muy bien, vale. Bueno, lo primero que quería saber es cómo te llegó el proyecto, cómo fue tu conversación con Isabel.
First thing I'd like to know, how did the project get to you? What was your first conversation like with Isabel?
I got the script out of the blue, and I read it. I was fascinated by it. I spoke to my agent and said, I have questions about this. I'd heard of Isabel's work. I'd not seen any of her work, but I was familiar with it. I read it and I said, I have questions about it. Next thing I knew, Isabel was on a plane coming to see me in Glasgow, where I was making a film. And we had dinner in an Indian restaurant in Glasgow. And we got on straight away. And the questions I asked her about the project, we didn't spend a huge amount of time talking about the project because I went straight in and asked these questions. She said, okay, I understand. We'll change them or we'll do it. We'll make it work. And her sort of instant ability to deal with something like that without going on about it made me realize I was dealing with somebody that was, unpretentious, was very intelligent and knew what she was after. And I felt immediately confident with them. We had a really nice time. We had a laugh. We had fun. I at the end of it, I said, oh, Isabel, it's been great to meet you. Thank you for coming all this way. It's really interesting and great of you. And I'll think about it and I'll let you know. And then I got back to my apartment, which was only down the road. And I thought, no, this is ridiculous. Someone who's done this. I really liked it. She's a brilliant person and a fascinating filmmaker. I phoned her up. I'd never done it before. I phoned her up. She was in a car going back to the hotel where she was going to fly back. And I said, I want to do it. And she was really pleased and I was really pleased. And that was it. Next thing I know, we were in, next time I saw her, we were in Benidorm.
¿Qué es lo que más te gustó del personaje y con lo que crees que se va a identificar el público?
What did you most like about the character, and what do you think the audiences are going to most identify with?
Well, it's difficult to know, what the audiences are going to identify with, but I suppose one can only talk about it from what I identified or recognized in it. Was this is a man that, had successfully, over the last 10, 15 years of his life, closed himself down, made himself very small, had become somebody that was used to expecting very little. He had a rhythm in his life. He had accepted the quotidian rhythm of his life. He'd made himself ascetic with his apples and his tea and his rhythm. He'd shut himself down. He turned the lights off in himself. And he was, in a way, allowing himself to disappear. The only thing that kept him alive, in a sense, was his interest in the weather and that huge, vast thing of and understanding something that we don't normally understand. And I think that's sort of a displacement, really, in a sense of not facing up to what was going on in himself, but understanding a vast thing like the weather, And I think so. And I think maybe what happens is, just as a simple, idle thing driven by the circumstances of his life, he decides to see his brother in a place that he's lost contact with his brother, don't know what his brother do. He gets there and things are completely different to what he expected. And it's a story of revelation about what's happened to his brother, but also a revelation about himself, because he encounters this woman. He encounters a place he didn't know what it was going to be like. Then he encounters this situation that is quite shocking to him. Then, in the middle of this situation, this human being turns up that the type of thing he'd never encountered, and even if he had, he would never have assumed he would ever start being fascinated by it. It's almost like seeing somebody that is an alien from another planet, but having an instant connection with their soul. I think he understands that she's unattainable, but there's an instinct in his soul that feels like there's a hand, two hands. It feels like they straight away, his soul connects with her, and he doesn't even recognize that, but he senses it without understanding it. And I don't think that ever happened to him before. I don't think it's ever happened to him before.
¿Qué significa para ti formar parte de una historia de amor que es tan atípica cuando normalmente las historias de amor pues, son entre personas más jóvenes y son amores más irreales o adolescentes?
What does it mean to you to form part of a story like this love story with two more adult, older people, when normally love stories are about younger people, adolescents, sort of at different stages of their life, but this is sort of mature, atypical love between two older and quite very different people?
Well, that's the answer to that question is in the question, because you don't see it very often. And, you know, I think human nature is such that we write old people off as being, in a sense, it's almost distasteful, actually, in a bizarre way. Particularly to think of old people having sex. Who wants to think about that? But on a more level, on another level, is actually this thing of love, this sense of people who, in a way, don't even expect it from themselves. They feel that it's a thing that people, we judge older people saying, well, they shouldn't be doing that anyway because it's distasteful, or come on, get old, grow up, grow up. Don't expect to fall in love now. You're in your late 50s or 60. So in reality, we know that one thing I learned, and the great thing about being an actor, is that however old you are, you're only a grown-up baby. So really, for all the layers of sophistication that we have as human beings, we still have that desire for love. And if we don't get it, we want it. We want it, and we want it more. We can close up, cases around it and not recognize it and make it acceptable, hermetically seal it, but it's still there, And in this case with Peter, he really didn't expect it, and I think that's what this story is about with him, and possibly even Sarita's character. They don't expect it. They don't. They thought they recognized each other. Peter with her, somebody beyond his reach. Maybe from her, somebody that she finds dull, uninteresting, humdrum. But in this connection, they find that neither of those are true.
¿Cómo fue para ti la experiencia de rodar en Benidorm? ¿Y no te chocó un poco esta elección por parte de Isabel?
What was it like shooting in Benidorm? And did this choice of location on Isabel's part, did that surprise you?
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously its connotations as being this place, as far as Brits are concerned, where people go on holiday basically just purely for the sun, the sea, and the drink and the clubs. It's not a place where you go to you are encouraged to go and enjoy the cultural delights of Spanish history and art. It's not. People tend to go there because they're sick of being in a northern European grey winter like it is out here now. We never see the sun, and so they go there for that reason. So I thought, well, this is interesting, but that is one of the interesting things about the film. It's not set in Madrid. It's not set in Barcelona or Tarragona or somewhere that has this, or Sevilla. It doesn't have this connotation of cultural delight. It's a place which is purely what it is, and the underbelly of these things that go along with it. So it is about somebody who goes to a certain degree knowing that it is a tourist place, and then discovering something else about it. He falls in love with somebody who works there. He encounters people who actually work there. So, he doesn't encounter English tourists. He encounters, the only ones he does are drunk and they don't really speak to him. So the people he ends up encountering are people who work there. And, you know, that's an interesting thing, you know. So I can't remember the original question, but I don't know if I've answered it inadvertently.
Bueno, no me acuerdo de la pregunta original, pero creo que te he contestado, ¿no?
Sí,
Yeah.
sí, sí,
Okay.
perfecto. Bueno, muchas gracias. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Have we finished? Oh,
¿Hemos
okay,
terminado?
nice to meet you.
Bueno, encantado de conocerte.
Thank you. Muchas gracias.